Hey guys, what's up? Just making a video. Figure you guys, I don't know, some of you may enjoy this kind of thing, but more of a supplemental video, not so much a full-on devlog, but just a little something to talk about some stuff like these fences. One of my favorite things to do is make wood. And don't go thinking your naughty thoughts and all. No, I'm talking about wood, like, you know, bark from a tree, not the dog kind of barking. Anyways, you're getting off track. This kind of wood. I think having wood is the most beautiful thing you can do as a human being. You know, it's just so natural, so nice, so pleasant to look at. And if you're making it as an art form, you can do anything with it. You know, all of this is just free form. You know, these twigs are just put however they want to be. And I'm working on a new portion of the level, and it's a little tedious to place down each individual fence, you know, but it's just so gorgeous. Such a nice little detail to have these fences just hanging out, doing their thing, just really just complementing the atmosphere around. You know, I made all these fences in part of a part. You can see all these things down here. It's called wood pack. Like this, a spiky wood that is used for, I mean, it could be used for plenty of things, but it was intended for Crystal Gulch, the opening bit to Crystal Gulch that was relatively recently added. And you know, these little things are just so nice to use. Oh, wooden gate, this is nice. I haven't made this work yet, but this is a portion of the wooden fences that I made specifically as a gate, so you'll be able to swing it open. One of my favorite things, and I think you know, I started off making the game with this in mind, is that physics are fun. You know, just simple stuff like taking a ball and throwing it. You know, I mean, maybe I'm a little biased, but I can boot this game up, grab a parcel ball, set up a parcel ball hoop, and just go to town. And that will entertain me for, I mean, my max was 9 minutes because I was struggling to get it in, but it's just so fun to mess with throwing stuff around. And, you know, these little physics puzzles, like, for example, this rock. Let me show you something about this rock. It might look pretty ordinary to you, but you go into it, and you got one rock. So this is the root rock. And between the root rock and this rock is pecan 2. Oh, sorry, pecan 1. And I ain't talking pecans like the one you eat. I'm talking physics constraints. Now, basically what this does is it allows this rock to move along a limited axis right at this point specifically. So from this rock will sway a little bit on that constraint. Moving on to pecan 2, you can see another one, and this rock will sway just like it did on the bottom, connected to this rock. And then finally, pecan 3, and this takes the flat rock up top. And once you boot this up in game, I'll come on and show you real quick. Once you boot this up in game, you know, you move over to it, and this is a part that I've been working on today. Just a little bit of level design. Oh, here's some bridges. You know, same concept. Tiny little detail. And these bridges, they don't have to be physical. They could be solid objects, you know. They could be completely solid objects that don't react to your moving across them at all. But you know what? This tiny little thing, this tiny little detail, it's so much fun. You know, it's so nice. So you got these, and they sway just so slightly, you know. And I think that's just so much fun. One of the first things I did was learn how to make physics constraints, and I learned how to, and I made that little swing plat, the swinging platform that you jump on and stuff like that. and you really cannot notice it with these, but it's the slightest little detail that I love. You know, you get to just barely feel it. And I think I'm going to make it a little bit more noticeable. But yeah, I just think physics is like the best, you know? Because as a kid, I try to look at fun from a like a child standpoint. Like, what's just the basic, bare minimum fun you can have? And I don't know about you, if you were solving trigonometry at 9 years old, but me, I was probably just picking up grass and throwing it and see how it flew through the wind, you know, throwing a rock at my brother, seeing how he'd react. You know, it's all about like, what can this object do to this object? You know, and it's the most natural process of learning, you know, just figuring out what physics does. And it's just awesome, you know. It's such a simple way of doing things, and you can entertain yourself by doing something stupid for so long just because it, you know, flops around. If you really wanted to, you know, you could start playing this way up, and you could just take a box, one of them red boxes, and you could just start whacking stuff with it, all willy-nilly, however the heck you feel, you know. And if you really wanted to, you could just try to start breaking the game, and I guarantee you, at this point in stage, you can do it. I try to make most of my physics objects so that they're relatively what's the word I'm looking for? Hard to break. Resistant to just freakouts, because freakouts do happen, and they do happen a lot, especially when you're working with physics constraints and, you know, factors that are just beyond expected, you know. It's pretty funny sometimes, but at other times it can be really, really frustrating. But yeah, I just love physics so much, like, not from a smart guy standpoint, but from a throwing rocks at my brother standpoint, you know. But yeah, that's one of my basic philosophies, like design philosophies. Just, you know, at least I'm a very beginner stage developer in video games. Joey's a little bit more experienced than me, but, you know, why make a game and then just bite off more than you can chew? I know how to do physics, you know, and the more I learn how to do it, the better I'm going to get at it. And I think that is one of the coolest things to master, because then eventually I'll be getting so good that I can pretty much make whatever physics puzzle that I want. You know, I already made one, which you will probably see you saw in the previous devlog, actually, if you watched it. That was one physics puzzle, and it took me a while to make, but it's so cool, you know, like just these tiny little things that are so fun to play around with. I just think it's so neat. But I want to show you guys something that I love, and I showed you guys grass in one of the previous devlogs. I believe it was Beach Day. And grass is awesome. Love it to bits. But rocks are cool too. And I'm going to show you something about rocks. We actually did the same thing with rocks that we did with grass, and that is being able to paint them. So Unreal Engine has a great tool. It's called it's a Foliage Tool, and basically I can just paint rocks wherever I want and just really kind of accent the area and make it look pretty. And I like doing this foliage because I like to try to kind of outline where the player is going to go, you know, and make it a little bit more, maybe not obvious, but a little bit more indicative of where you're going to go. It's simple things like that, and I think you got to think of when you're designing a map like this and designing a linear sort of game. The last thing you want to do is confuse the player. And I know video games have done a lot of things to try and combat this. One of which is, like, for example, invisible walls. I hate invisible walls. And because I think it diminishes, the player's trust in the environment, and it kind of squanders that sense of exploration. Because if I want to, say I was playing around with this puzzle over a couple of days ago, and I successfully got it so that it was down, in the down position. So obviously this rock was risen, but this log was down like this, right? So I hopped onto the log and ran up. I tried to jump out, and some people play it straightforward, some people don't, some people try to break the map and try to get out of it. I was never really that kind of guy, but I know that people play like that, and I'll cater to that. I will I'll reward that, and I'll try not to make it so that you can get out of the map, but if you can, awesome. I'm not going to put an invisible wall there to stop you from progressing. If you want to get out of the map and cheese the game, go for it. And one thing that Joey and I kind of fantasize about is speedrunners. We talk about it so often, and I'll never tell you what we add, but sometimes we add some stuff to kind of give future speedrunners some free cheese, you know what I mean? Whether it be through mechanics or map design, but it's such a cute little thing to do, kind of like just give them things to discover, things to realize about the game, and whether they discover it or not, or whether you discover it or not, cool, but it's always there. I think that's so cool, just adding little mechanics and little things, just to make things easier for people. But I'm adamant on never never punishing creativity, never punishing exploration, because I think that invisible walls and stuff like that just punish it. Halo 1, I remember Halo 1 on the Silent Cartographer. Love that map, because as a kid, and if you're one of my childhood friends watching this, you'll know Silent Cartographer. We'd grab a warthog and we would just start going. We'd drive into the water and we'd drive until we couldn't drive anymore. Or MX Unleashed. MX Unleashed has a different way of dealing with getting out of the map. And what they do is they basically, you get out to a certain point past the mountains, and then they physically launch you like really far back. And that, it doesn't necessarily discourage your exploration, but it obviously there's places where you're not supposed to go, which is fine. But it's such a funny way to get the player back where they're supposed to go, and that's the thing. That's creative. That's cool. It's not just oh, I can't go there. You reach a certain point and you're like, holy shit! I just got launched 300 miles in the opposite direction. I'll never forget just the laughter and the great times that I had that developed from, you know, that silly mechanic where you just, you know, just get launched. It's funny. But yeah, I don't know. Punishing creativity or exploration is the last thing I ever want to do. And the one realization I had when I was doing this was when I was playing Doom Eternal a little while ago, and what I did was I was like, oh shit. And obviously Doom is just like secrets. It's literally like there's a counter for how many secrets you've discovered on the map at the end of a level, you know, which is awesome. So I'm like, oh, okay, there's secrets everywhere. So it kind of encourages you to be like, all right, how do I get over there? How do I do this? How do I do that? But in Doom Eternal, and it's so unfortunate because it pairs so poorly with the exploration aspect and the discovery aspect and all this stuff. You know, there's these invisible walls everywhere that kind of stop you from going to basic places. And after a while of playing, you kind of get used to it and stuff. But that's something that I don't think you should get used to. You know, there's little Easter eggs that I've placed in the game, that Joey's placed in the game, and it's so cool because we have a hard time keeping secrets from each other. You know, we'll try to, and we'll be like, oh, I'm gonna surprise him with this. I'm gonna wait until he sees that, this, that, and the other thing, and then eventually we'll just get so excited about it we'll tell the other. You know, it happens almost every time. Actually, Joey has a secret that he's working on my birthday for, and I don't know what it is, but so he's keeping that one pretty well. Hopefully it's cool. I think it's relating to the game, so hopefully you guys get to see it too. Yeah. Next subject, rocks. See, this whole place just looks so much prettier just because of a couple of rocks and a couple of plants. So much prettier, and it's a little more intensive, but this is a pretty small area that I'm planning on. Basically, only this place is going to be loaded, and it's not too intensive on the graphics, just because there's such a relatively small amount of stuff going on here. Let's see, make this size a little bit smaller. But yeah, this is the kind of stuff that I can just sit down and do for hours. Like, it never gets frustrating. It's just drawing, you know. This is bliss. If I could get a job with, like, you know, a AAA publisher like EA, and my job title was like grass placer or something, that would be, well, it wouldn't really be my dream job, but it'd be pretty cush. You know, I wouldn't have too many complaints. Plus, who's gonna look at you and be like, your grass placement, it's kind of subpar. You know, we're gonna have to let you go. Like, nah, man, look at this grass placement. That's pretty fucking primo. Excuse my language. But yeah, this is this way up. I really appreciate you guys watching, and if you guys do enjoy this kind of just talking and whatever, let me know, and I'll probably do more just to kind of get more videos out there so that you can kind of see the process, because I think this is awesome. You know, I have a lot of fun just doing this, and looking back at it, you know, it's going to be really cool to be able to see, you know, just where the game once was, in the history of it, you know. This, it's just beautiful, man. You know, we're creating a big fat work of art here, and you know, you look at it. Let me go into this. Here we go. Yeah, look at that. You know, the beauty of it is so immense. You know, from a love standpoint, from a art standpoint, from any standpoint, and even like from a technical standpoint. Like, so much effort goes into even these rocks. It took me, I don't know, 30-45 minutes to make these rocks and, you know, get them right. And it's for the simplest thing, but it's cool, you know. I really like it. But hey, I'm gonna let you guys go. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed, and if you did, please leave a comment or a like or something. Just let me know that you guys liked it. And I appreciate you guys for watching, and you have a good day.